Y'all, welcome back. The song that you just heard is actually a song by our male perspective guest, a friend to the show. He's back. Jerry King, Jay King, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, y'all. I appreciate it.
Jerry, you can sing.
I do a little bit.
You can rap.
I do a little
That
bit.
be killing me when people really be talented. They be like, I do a little song.
I do a little something. Jerry,
I'm passionate.
Jerry be putting his Eric Bellinger hat on.
Okay, Eric Bellinger.
Okay, I think that's
Eric
I think that's a great comparison there.
I appreciate
okay,
that.
R&B
love.
heads, real R&B heads know the
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Jerry, I'm here for it. You nasty too, but we just gonna let that one slide.
We gonna talk about that.
Anyway.
We gonna talk about that.
So, as usual, for the male perspective segment, we like to talk about different topics, and we try to get across the aisle and see what the other sex is talking about. This is a very interesting topic. I'm not for certain if you've heard about the Black Lives Matter organization, the women that are involved with the founding of the organization Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the movement,
Okay.
but the actual organization Black Lives Matter has been accused of having a subliminal mission to deconstruct or reorganize the Black family structure.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard this. Lay it on me.
Have you guys heard talks about that before? I feel like I mentioned it. At
We
least in
talked
section
about
two.
the
Yeah.
organization being different from the movement, but we've never gotten a chance to talk about it on the show.
Oh, okay. So, in quick synopsis, people have been saying that the organizers of the BLM organization, they are, what's the word?
Deconstructing.
No, it's just floating all in front of my head. Damn. People have said that the two founders, they're gay women, which doesn't really matter until we bring it into play a little bit later. But they speak about how they want to it's inclusion for everyone except for inclusion for the Black man. When they talk about the family structure, we talked about same-sex rights and things like that earlier off the air, and some critics are saying that the organization itself has foundations in deconstructing like the Black family structure that includes the Black man and the Black woman and the Black child.
Like all together.
Right. Like removing the Black man from the household.
But that's always been an objective.
For ulterior society, organizations outside of Black culture, right? Okay, so this conversation. So a Twitter user who is aligned with one of the founders of Black Lives Matter organization made this statement: women should raise families together even if you're not attracted to other women. The thread sparked an interesting Twitter debate that left folks split on the notion of removing Black males from the family structure and replacing the male's presence or influence with other women. So the tweet that brought everybody to this point says, I promise it's worth it to take a moment to deconstruct the standards of a family. Consider co-parenting with your friends. Look up compound living, etc. We can really imagine and implement a new way of life. Most men truly can do nothing for us. And women often worry about the future, their family, etc. Just because you're not gay doesn't mean doesn't mean that you can't have the other people and the women in your life that give a fuck about your well-being.
Yeah, y'all ready for my?
I
Go
cannot
ahead.
wait.
All right, so I disagree with that statement almost wholeheartedly.
Yes.
The reason why is because that mindset, the statement implies a mindset that we are complicit with where we are with the family dynamic as it stands, and we want to move forward from that instead of fixing it. So like economically, if you have a man and a woman together, you have the man going out in the world doing what he does, you have the woman going out in the world, they procreate, make a family, and multiply so that they have resources for their community.
Right.
When you have two women, economically, you can both have jobs and stuff like that, but you can't procreate together. So it's like it kind of thwarts the Black family. You can't do that.
Right.
So I believe in like community and having your friends help you out and stuff like that, but completely Xing out the Black man, I'm not here for that at all.
Me either.
And that's what I was just about to say, that it's one thing to say like, oh, outside of, okay, you have this family unit inside of your home, but outside of your household, you also have your village. It's one thing to say that, but then to turn around and say like, we just don't need the Black man at all. Like that's totally different, because coming from a woman's perspective, even if a couple has a daughter, like a daughter still needs her father just as much as a son needs his father. So the Black man definitely, or just men in general, the man in the household in general has a lot to offer to the family. So that's That's crazy. I can't even believe that somebody had an opinion like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wait
And
till I give y'all the more, but I want to hear.
I
each.
feel like they're just robbing the child of that opportunity of having that male figure. Like
Right.
you making that decision for them, and that's just not fair. Especially for me, even me as an only child. Like I didn't live with my dad, but my dad was still present in my life, and
Right, me
still
too.
is present. And he played a big role in my life. Did I allow my mom to bring other men in the house? Hell no.
You've been
It was
blocking on
not
your mama.
Big cop block energy
your
coming
life.
over here, and I was the only child. Who?
Your
Hey,
mom could have been had a
it is.
man.
Why?
She could-
She
and-
need to get her.
No, she and won't.
That
And
is horrible.
I give my mama hell, and that's just what it's gonna be. Period. She
No,
don't need no
ma'am.
man. She don't need none of that. However, I need that male presence in my life, and I feel like kids need that male presence in their life coming from a child. You know what I'm saying? Also, my kids, they have a great relationship with their father. Even if I wasn't with him anymore, I would not want to replace him with y'all.
Right.
Like y'all play the role that y'all play in their
Aunties
lives
in the
as of who
village.
you are, and he
Right.
plays a role in their life as of who he is. So
But I
that's
think
very important.
the point of it is, yes, like the way that I could relate with your kids is different than the way that
Their
you
father.
could relate, because they came from you.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way that they could relate to their dad is different than how they can relate to any other man, because they came from Anthony.
a
Like,
fact.
so it's just, you can't just take that part of them away.
Now let me give to round out the argument and to make it clear, like this is I too believe that there is an importance, that there is no black family structure without the black male.
Right.
Period. You know, I think that's important to say. But these women that were defending this notion, we're also pointing out black women have been raising children on their own for decades, which is true, but we also see we could go down in history, right?
Yeah.
We know that our men were drafted. We know that during slavery, our men were ripped away from their families, and they were taught or brainwashed to think that they were only good to produce, right? And then they would be sold to the next plantation to create another.
Like an animal.
Right. Okay. So we know that our black men were also forced to enlist and serve in the Vietnam War. We know that they were killed, so they were they were serving, so they were absent from the home. We know that when they came back, they were absent from the home because they did not have resources available for their jobs, and we know that they didn't get health care or mental health care resources offered to them, so that killed them off. That turned them to drugs, which also kept them out of the house.
Right.
You know, we know that they fell victim to the pipeline, to drugs, to gang life, which also killed them off and removed them from the house. And so in their absence, black women have stood the test of time. Black mamas, aunties, grandmama, big mama, and them creating this community and raising their children. Now, at the same time, we also see, granted, thank you to the big mamas out here that have been holding it down,
Right.
but we've also seen the type of generation that is created in the absence of the black man.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And look where we are now.
Exactly.
That's a fact. I want to say one thing too, just to give context. Like, I come from a family of 5, right? Like, I'm the oldest of 5 siblings, and my dad was present up until a certain point. So I've had a male figure in my life, but my younger siblings, like, he wasn't around for them. But I was around for my younger siblings, and I have a little brother. He's 18 now, and when I look at him, I was actually looking at his Facebook the other day. And you know how you see a little kid, like on Facebook, it's like, where do you work? How old are you? What school did you go to? He started his Facebook when he was like 8 or 9 or something like that.
Oh my God.
Right?
These Generation Z kids.
You know, and I'm looking at his Facebook, but like all of his information was my stuff. Like, he went to Druid Hills High School. He worked where I worked in high school. You know what I'm saying? So like seeing his perception, he wanted to be me because I was the man that he saw in his life. And now fast forward to him being 18, like, he's a rapper right now, but he manages his own business. So like, he owns his masters.
Good.
He's
That's
receiving
amazing.
his own royalty checks, but he's doing that because he saw me the way that I move. And it's like, okay, what happens if he only had my mom as an influence?
Wow.
Like, my mom's a strong black woman. She raised us, right? We have a great influence, but that male influence is important, just being there. So I want to say that. And then the other thing too, when you were talking about like systematically how males have been removed from the household and women were raising families, look at the welfare system.
Yeah.
Like, women are incentivized financially to
Yes.
not have a male in the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it kind of perpetuates that cycle.
Absolutely.
So I just want to leave it there, but that's that's crazy. I think we need black men in the household.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just so funny because it sounds like a lot of the women that were siding, and the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement got into the Twitter battle too, and they were definitely in defense of creating this woman utopia, woman raising all the children, period. But how we gonna get the kids? You gonna go to the man, get the man's egg, seed, and then X him out the picture from that?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But all I'm seeing is reading these tweets. Damn, the hurt is just on.
And
y'all
that's what I
ladies.
was about to say. Like,
let that
hurt go.
Yeah.
And I think that is the beautiful thing about this world is you're a man and we're women.
Mm-hmm.
But even in this room, in our producer back here,
Yeah.
we love you. She's a part of our team. But everybody in this room has a different perspective.
Yes.
Everybody in this room has a different journey. So how I see things is not how you're going to see it, and vice versa. That's the beautiful thing about the world. If we remove the black man and we're saying that we're only going to give our children and their children and their children just one side of it,
That's
we're
unfair.
robbing them.
Yes.
Of that perspective.
We
That's a
are
fact.
robbing them. And that is so, and it's just like, I don't understand how anybody can even take on that opinion or that perspective
Yes.
and be in the world today.
Now, what say you to the women that choose to remove the male influence from their or the paternal male influence from their children's life because of their own disagreement or circumstance with the father? Like, given a scenario, I've raised my child and kept her father's identity and everything attached to her father's side, in secret. What disservice does that do to your child?
I think you need to add on the fact that you keep the children away from your child by choice because the father is the difference between the father doesn't want to be in the life and the father is trying to be in the life.
And
But
he
not
can't
in
be.
your life.
But not in your life.
Right, but in the
So
child's life.
to the people whose fathers do not want to be in the child's life, I'm so sorry for that. I hope that you can find some solitude in that. And if you have to do what you have to do to raise your child on your own, do what you have to do. If you want to go and get your groove back, do what you got to do. My mama couldn't, but
That's
if you
crazy.
need to, go ahead. However, for the women who have men that want to be in their child's life,
Allow that.
allow that.
Yes.
And shame on you for blocking that. Yes, situations happen. Yes, he hurt your feelings. Yes, he hurt your
But it
what
ain't
coulda-
about you.
About your could have been.
It ain't
you know,
about
we
you.
could have
Right.
been here. We could have been this. We could have been married. It's not about your could have been. It's about that child.
Yes.
And if you have a black man that's wanting to be in that child's life, let him.
But you
Yes.
think I feel like another thing too, like what people have to realize is at the point when you decide, okay, I'm going to keep this child, I'm going to bring this child into the world, that is a different responsibility. At the end of the day, it is the focus is no longer about you. And I'm not even a parent, and I understand that. I would never stand in, like Aisha was saying, I would never stand in the way of, if it came down to it and I was in that position, I would never do that because I know, like for me, my situation was similar to yours, even though my parents were not married. Like my dad has always been in my life, but I've never physically lived in the home with him. But I understand that yearning because there have been moments where I wanted him to be there and he could not be because, he
Yeah.
had his own things going on. Like my dad was unfortunately one of those people who got caught up in the system. But one thing that I tell my dad still to this day that I'm so proud of him because he did not allow his past to determine his future. My dad fought to get all of that stuff cleaned off of his record. He has a CDL license. He's
Yes.
opening his own business. Like you can come back from these types of things. And that's what I need people to understand. Like, don't just completely just wipe the black man off because I feel like that's been something that they have been saying for years. Like nobody cares about the black man. Nobody is defending the black man.
Do you feel like that as a black man? Do you feel like you are on an island on your own in defense of yourself?
In a way, yes, but there's microcosms everywhere, and what I mean is that like you have a group of black women that protect black men, advocate for black men, but it's kind of like a small group. But in the grand scheme, like as a black man, when we walk out the house, we have to be strong, physically, emotionally, mentally. We have adversities that we have to face, and don't be successful breaking down barriers, entering rooms that other black men haven't predominantly been in, you know, like as a financial advisor.
I was about to say, this is personal experience with your profession, I'm sure.
Yeah. When I walk into a room, being a financial advisor in general, to pass that test is kind of like passing a bar. Like it's I think the attrition rate is like 40%.
Wow.
So like black, white, Indian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. Like that's a hard bar to cross. And then being in that room, historically it's like nepotism. So you got old white families that have been doing this for generations. So in my firm, in the city, I'm one of like 17 out of like, I don't know, 500 advisors.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying? And so the culture of the workplace is different. Like people don't understand your background and what you've been through. So that's a whole thing. And then just in the world in general, you know, like, yeah, it is hard to be a black man, but the ones of us who are stepping up and doing stuff, I think that we have the power to kind of shift that dynamic if we collaborate with our black women and we do things like how we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And I want to say something about when y'all were talking about like the family dynamic and like don't X out the black man. When sometimes you have dads that like didn't want to have a child.
Yeah.
And they kind of fall back. And I feel like as a black woman, that's a hard decision to make, to be like, all right, let me stay away from this guy because he's not supporting my child, right? I think it's a difficult balance. You want to keep that access to him whenever he's ready,
he decides,
and the child is ready. But I think the self-work comes in to be able to have men around you, platonic relationships, family relationships that you value and they value you, so that your child can see how a man moves.
Yes.
You know, so like it's important to have good, sustainable friendships, like platonic ones. And I think that comes from inside. And it's a bigger conversation than just baby moms, baby daddy, like that.
And that's it, right? Godfather, brother, cousin.
Yeah.
But also the trust has to be there as well, because we also see, you know, the negative side of that, where maybe your village might be too big and you can't fully trust people, and then we have people that are disrespecting, you know, the child, and you know what I'm saying. I'm sure that hell, that's a fear that every parent has.
That's a fact, yeah.
You know, but that's still something that our communities are plagued with.
That's real. And I mean, I think a lot of this stuff comes back to like internally, what kind of work are we doing as people to be quality people?
Ooh, the accountability talk.
Yes.
And attract quality people.
Yes.
Right.
You know, like if we bonding because we drinking at the bar and stuff, that's cool. But what type of energy does that bring outside of that?
Right. Does that bring to my kids and all of those different things? You got to watch who you keep around your kids.
That's right.
So yeah, you got Uncle them.
But what's
if
Uncle
Uncle's
them doing?
a drunk, is that the influence that you want to have around your child?
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
You got to be careful.
So got to be well rounded. You know.
Yeah.
That's real though.
That was a good conversation.
I thought it would be well appropriate for Jerry to talk to us about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me for that, because that's real. I just want to reiterate, love on y'all black men, okay?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
I
you know,
will.
we out here, you know, there are a lot of us that are out here that's like, you know, good dudes that love our community. So y'all make sure y'all show y'all black men some appreciation today.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
rub a man,
Every
rub
day.
your man beard today, y'all.
Yes.
Put your
Look,
hand
she was about to
in
say
his,
rub, amen.
I was
Rub
gonna say
your
rub
man's
rub
beard.
your man's beard
And
today.
shout out, because you know what? It's black men that are actually doing the job and willing to do the job that other black men couldn't do. It is stepdaddy season out here, y'all.
Oh man.
Goodbye. All right.
That is.